Hi, I'm Ross Armstrong, and today we're going to be talking about leading remotely during the pandemic. How has HR Downloads been managing the challenges of remote work? Our human resources team came up with several initiatives early on that really set the stage for engaging with our employees remotely. We would use video and instant messaging tools to run games during our pre-shift meetings. They also invented something they called Culture Corner, which included, fun trivia games during breaks and lunch hours and times like that in order to keep up employee morale and engagement. Any initial discomfort that leadership had here with managing workers remotely really changed over the course of the past few months, since both the leadership team and our staff became more and more comfortable with things like virtual meetings and using technology a lot more to manage our workflows, our content production, sales activities, and so on. In order to accomplish that, we leveraged a number of software applications quite extensively. For example, our performance management platform allowed us to gauge and measure employee sentiments to make sure we always knew how our staff were doing and how they were coping during the lockdown, which allowed us to act quickly in case anyone was struggling and get them the help that they needed. As far as the work itself, we found Microsoft Teams to be incredibly helpful because Microsoft Teams integrates video calls, audio calls, and instant messaging with our Outlook calendars, with our SharePoint sites, and with various other Office 365 products. It really helped us to keep our workflows aligned and to help keep managers up to date at all times of what was going on with our content production. Have you changed your personal approach to leadership? To answer that, I'd have to cast my mind back to when the lockdown first happened back in mid-March. I was concerned about a great number of things at the time, as of course everyone else was. On a professional level, one of my main concerns was that we had a number of open positions that we still needed to fill, whether there was a pandemic on or not. So as a company, we had to completely pivot from traditional forms of recruitment and onboarding to remote recruitment and virtual onboarding, using, again, video chats for interviews, using digital assessments, and so on. In fact, one of my direct reports, a manager, was hired and onboarded virtually not long after the emergency work from home situation began. So of course we used our laptop cameras and microphones to set up many video meetings with both me, their boss, and the various other stakeholders and managers that this new hire had to work with. So, overall this somewhat slowed down the onboarding and relationship building process, for sure, but everyone was really quite tolerant and very diligent with these new methods and these new tools. So with that kind of commitment, things worked out pretty well. In fact, we successfully hired and onboarded at least half a dozen new hires during the pandemic quite successfully. So that was great. And now, of course, that phase 3 has been announced. This manager is very much looking forward to meeting their direct reports in person for the first time ever, and I know their staff feel the same way. But most importantly, we proved to ourselves as an organization that we could hire and onboard remotely, as long as we had the right process, the right tools, and the right mindset to do it. So ultimately, what I discovered, somewhat to my surprise, was that remote or virtual leadership really isn't all that different from in-person leadership at its core. What is different is really in how you approach it and in adopting the attitude up front that leading remotely can be done if you remain patient, especially with the inherent limitations of the technology that you're using, and also by practicing empathy, by understanding that everyone's going through this and not just you. It's difficult for us all. How has HR Downloads innovated during the lockdown? Immediately after the province locked down in March, HR Downloads was absolutely inundated with calls, emails, and requests from our many clients seeking help. many of the HR and business leaders that we service were quite understandably very concerned about the lockdown and what it meant for them, for their customers, for their employees. And they had so many questions about HR best practices, what their legal obligations were, and so on. So it quickly became very clear to us that we needed an entirely different approach to rapidly producing content specific to COVID-19 and the concerns, around it, and B, that our normal processes for content turnaround and publication timelines had to adapt just as rapidly. Our clients needed critical information urgently, so we had to get all of our teams and our departments involved with content production and delivery on board and working together to push all of this out. Fortunately, HR Downloads is blessed with a highly adaptive and resilient workforce. So we used design thinking, and we also drew from personal experiences to quickly ideate some new content ideas, and we came up with the HR Downloads Coronavirus COVID-19 Resource Center. It was really, really important for us to make it easy for our clients to access critical information. We also brainstormed what internally we call packaged knowledge products, which a packaged knowledge product is essentially a bundle of content centered around a particular issue, such as return to work, for example. So the return to work package gave our clients a quick and easy way to organize their return to work planning and give them that peace of mind that they would be well prepared to welcome their clients back. Elsewhere, we completely rethought issues around mental health and how COVID-19 stressors were causing a major spike in mental health issues across the Canadian workforce. So we adapted the hierarchy of controls and refocused it around coronavirus in order to give employers a framework to help them think about the things that they could control that would prevent or at least reduce the occurrence of mental health issues amongst their employees. So because of this large and rather rapid pivot in our content and how we produced it, we noticed a surprising yet very welcome uptick in creativity amongst our staff. One of my own direct reports said that they were actually more creative during the pandemic and the lockdown. This person told me that the physical and mental constraints of being forced to work at home alone without any distractions, social or otherwise, forced them to be more creative in their idea conception and in their writing. This person attributed that to a heightened state of introspection and self-reflection, and therefore deeper analysis and creative output. All that being said, this person is very much looking forward to getting back to work and seeing their colleagues once again. That's all. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I hope you are staying healthy and staying safe.